Have they heard of this tale about the demon with a slug's head that has slaughtered an entire family in the village? One might think this is just a tale as old as time, with this being a common occurrence in their world. But this story is quite special because a few days later, that demon's severed head was found nailed to the gates of the family that it killed. The one who committed this horrific act was the eldest son, the sole survivor of that family. They say he was only 10, and according to the rumors, he is not a human. A few more days later, on a pleasant and cool morning, someone looks at the decomposing slug demon head on the family gate. This must be the place the villager spoke of. He never thought he would feel sorry for a demon. Yet here he is. This is the demon hunter, Mong. The villagers begged him, as it was clear that the thing was wearing a human skin. They begged him to exterminate it. However, Mong wonders if it's true. A demon disguised as a 10-year-old. He admits it is a strange thing. Even if dozens of 10-year-olds attacked at once, they could not kill this demon. Judging by the brutality of the beheading, something dangerous could lie ahead. He pushes the gates open, and he sees the boy slumped on the graves of his family. The boy asks who he is, and Mong introduces himself as a demon hunter. Looking down at the boy, this is the demon the villager spoke of. Those lifeless eyes must be what they feared, but that alone is no reason to call him a demon. Those crude graves behind him, judging by the dirt he is covered in, must mean he buried his family by himself, and he survived for a long time without any food or drink. He pulls something out of his cloak, a bamboo basket containing a bowl of porridge, and he tells the boy to eat. The boy wonders why he is giving this to him. Has he not come to kill him? The villagers must have asked him to. They hated him even before this. It is likely these lifeless eyes that he's always had made them uneasy, and after seeing him kill a demon, they must want to drive him out of the village. Meng Yan doesn't react outwardly, but sits down with the boy, noting that, from what he heard, it seems he truly did kill a demon. He would like to hear that story in detail. When his family was attacked, the boy naturally hid as they were slaughtered right in front of him, and seeing this awakened something dark, something that pushed him to seek revenge. When the demon attacked, he survived while hiding in the wardrobe. Then he tracked it to its lair. He sold all of his family's belongings to gather money, used the money to buy information about its weakness, and took his revenge. Meng Yan doesn't understand why he beheaded a demon and displayed it on the front gate. But the boy says that the demon ate his family's heads and wanted to repay that in kind. Meng Yan finds this story hard to believe, but those eyes are not those of a liar. Hunting a Wado scholar using a bamboo spear packed with salt is common practice. But even knowing its weakness, a successful hunt is not easy, even for a fully grown man, having the resolve to seek revenge. Even after witnessing his family die, the tenacity to find a powerful enemy's weakness and defeat it, and the will to act, would be extraordinary. It seems this boy was born to be a demon hunter. He notes that now that his revenge is complete, he has no more attachment to life. He simply wishes to pass away quietly, beside his family, as perhaps he should have done in the first place. Meng Yan flicks his forehead and notes that now that he thinks about it, he has never asked him his name. The boy says it's Yisei, and Meng Yan finds it a fine name. Changing world, huh? Does he think beheading and displaying its head repays the demon in kind? Or did he simply convince himself that this was enough? He lost his family, and with them, his will to live, so he cannot be satisfied with killing just a single demon. The boy is not a demon, so Meng Yan considers the village head's request canceled. He should live well, as there is more to life than what he thinks. He goes back to the village head, who is naturally annoyed. Is he not going to exterminate that beast? Meng Yan tells him that the boy is no monster. He is clearly human, no matter how much they look at him differently. The village head claims that they will double the fee if need be, but Meng Yan asks, why do they hate that boy so much? The village head claims it's those creepy monster eyes. They knew from the start that something like this would happen. That monster will bring great harm to their village. Meng Yan, however, notes that they are the real monsters. How can they call a child a monster just because he is different and hard to understand? They should stop this. Hatred and resentment will breed evil karma, and evil karma is what attracts demons. The village head reiterates that he was the one who summoned the demon, but Meng Yan understands They will not. Listen quietly. She removes her hat and reveals she is something scarier than a demon, a woman. If they torment the boy again, they will have to answer to her. A dokebi, the village head, immediately falls on his ass, calling her a demon, but she reiterates that she is just a dokebi. She's allied herself with humans to hunt demons. To the village head, she is just another monster, despite her alliance with humans like him. Now that the village head understands, Mong Yaoan declares the request canceled. The village head can't believe it. To think that a demon hunter was the same kind of monster as that bastard. What the hell are they supposed to do about this? There is only one choice after all. They must act for themselves. They must protect the village with their own hands. Naturally, they do what you'd expect and begin burning down the house. The village head notes that they should have done this long ago. If they burn it all down, he'll have no reason to stay in the village. This is what happens when a monster tries to stay where people do. Isi tries to put out the fire around his family's graves, and the village head retorts, telling him to burn as things like monsters should burn. Suddenly, a bunch of red-tailed tendrils wrap around the villagers' necks, and they begin turning into monsters as another demon appears, one attracted by their own malice. Isi barely has time to realize what is going on before the demon shoots a skull bolt towards him, forcing him to dodge. Although Isi dodges, the sheer impact sends him flying. His family's graves are now torn asunder, denying his family rest even in death. He spots a hatchet nearby and thinks that, as if taking his family was not enough, the demon has now taken away his chance to die beside them. And Yisei takes out the village head with his hatchet. He thought that everything was taken away from him, but apparently there was still more. He remembers what Mong Yaoan said, wondering if he simply convinced himself that beheading one demon was enough. With this rage, he grips the hatchet tighter and rushes in. The villagers put their hand around his neck, and he continues to remember Mong Yaoan's words. How can he ever be satisfied with killing just a single demon? Seeing it grin at his pain, Isi throws the hatchet into the demon's eye, causing it to wail a bit. Now he understands what that woman meant. His revenge will only ever end when the last demon has been exterminated. Even with this newfound confidence born of rage, his body fails him and his hand falters. But that's when Mong Yaoan grabs it, and with a simple foot to the ground, completely eradicates the villagers that were holding on to him. She's impressed that Yisei stands before a demon with such a tiny body. She has not seen such confidence even in kings. The villagers are pathetic. Evil karma and resentment create demonic energy, and that energy draws in demons. She told them to let this go and stop their evil deeds. Perhaps what summoned the Wado scholar was also their own evil karma. They will now go apologize to this child's family in the afterlife. With a flick, she eradicates the remaining villagers, leaving only the demon ready to strike. But Mong Yaoan merely turns around and completely eviscerates it before it can do a single thing. Mong Yaoan has heard Yisei's vow to exterminate every demon. Yisei chose well. Even if that path turns him into a vengeful fiend, good days will come as long as there is. Tomorrow, she puts him on her shoulder and decides to take him in until he is strong enough to exact his revenge. She shall raise him herself. She takes him back to where she's staying, and eventually, after a few short days, he wakes up. She introduces herself again to Yisei and tells him that if he is to resent her for saving him without asking, then he shall do so. Yisei holds none of that resentment in his eyes, only remembering what happened. His family's graves were really destroyed. That was not just a dream or a nightmare he had. He takes off the bandages from his face and sees that not even a single burn scar was left. He thanks her for saving him and looking after him. Dokebis are truly an incredible race. Mong Yaoan is surprised that he is still calm, even knowing that she is a dokebi. But Yisei notes that she said she was not a demon, and she treated him kindly. So does it really matter? Mong Yaoan smiles at his unprejudiced mind and crouches down, asking if he has thought about the offer she made earlier. He wonders if she meant following her and learning demon exorcising arts from her. She confirms it, as he does have some talent. She will provide a place to live until he can stand on his own, and she will help him gain enough strength to exact revenge. Yisei muses and notes that it's a pretty ideal offer, so much so that it makes him suspicious. Meng Yaoan likes that he's sharp. If he does follow her, he'd best be prepared. The place he will live from now on is the Dokebi territory. Dokebis are different from demons, but they do possess demonic energy. A place where demonic energy flows is a harsh environment for humans to live in. More than anything, though, her teaching will be rough. Every day will feel like hell. Yisei thinks about it for a moment and says that he likes that. Without that much hardship, he could never dream of exterminating the demons. So he will follow her. His master, Meng Yuan, thought of scaring him just a little, but it seems that his resolve is unwavering. She understands that if that is the case, then his body must recover before he can go anywhere. He should also make sure to eat all of it this time and leave nothing behind. Yisei gets to eating it and agrees. Afterwards, Yisei thinks the area around them is starting to get a little spooky. She explains that this is because the space around them is filled with demonic energy. He must not step outside of this sacred rope. With his strength, he will not be able to get back inside. They eventually arrive at the gate. Beyond, it is the territory of the Dokebs, where he will be residing at Ginsu Temple. It explicitly states that this land is forbidden to humans, and Yisei wonders, will it really be all right for a human to enter Dokebi territory? She asks if he's afraid, but it's not that. He was just wondering if she might get in trouble for bringing a human in. His worry is quite strange and endearing, and she tells him not to worry. There are no Dokebis in the Ginsu Temple who would be crazy enough to talk back to the head. Before he can wonder what she means, she opens the gates, and he gets his first look at the world, which seems to be pretty pleasant, completely different from the place they came through. He can also see people below, all of them Dokebis. The Dokebis can see him too. Some wonder how he dared to enter their temple, and others look at him with unabashed resentment. Before they can say anything, though, Meng Yan puts a hand on Isi's shoulder and tells everyone to listen. This human child is called Yisei, and he will be learning demon exorcising arts under me. He is now a new family member, so you shall treat him warmly. The people take this well and immediately agree. If the head brought him here, there is no problem, and a new family member is always good news. Yisei is impressed with his master. Everyone accepted with a single word from her. Maybe she's more incredible than he initially anticipated. Meng Yan looks back at him, noting that now, since they're done with his initiation, they should do the most important thing in demon hunting, eating. She puts him in front of a table filled with food. She tells the cook to bring them more meat, and Isi wonders what exactly they are doing. He doesn't understand what meals have to do with demon hunting. Meng Yan pats him on the head, noting that when it comes to demon exorcism, he still has one major problem. He's forgotten that he is still a child. Children must eat a lot, and they have the important duty of sleeping a lot as well. If he does not build up his body during this time, he will greatly regret it when he becomes a demon hunter. Isi understands. She is basically saying to build a body suited for hunting while he is still growing. If this is necessary to exterminate the demons, then he will gladly do so. He begins eating in earnest until someone else arrives with even more meat. Another Dokebi, Gong-ah. Meng Yan tells her that she did well. She has some business to attend to, so she will leave now. When this boy is finished eating, she should arrange a place for him to stay and make sure that he eats all of it. Gong-ah immediately gets to it, while Yisei reflects that he never imagined hell would be something like this. She pats him on the head, noting that it's nice to meet him. He's the kid the head brought. It seems humans really don't have horns. She asks how old he is, and he says that he's turning 10 this year. She is surprised that he's 10, but more mature than her. Even though she is 22, the fact that Gong-a is claiming that she's 22 in the first place is more surprising than that. The Dokebi cook tells him that humans age twice as fast as they do. So technically Gong-a is only a year older than him. Gong-a doesn't really care. That means she's his big sister. The cook notes that she must be quite happy to have a new young sibling and pets her on the head. Seeing this familiar, homely situation, he looks at them for a bit with something that might be mistaken for resentment, but perhaps it is just longing. Yisei eats enough for his stomach to hurt. He leaves with Gong-ah, who notes that he's still young, so he has time to digest it. He is lucky, though, getting to learn demon exorcism under the head. The other Dokebis will be jealous. He wonders if she's really that incredible. But Gong-ah is most surprised that he followed her, without knowing that the head is a living legend who's been killing demons for at least 300 years. She's probably stronger than all of the dokabes in the temple combined. Yisei understands that dokabes and humans really are different, but just looking at his master and this dokabe called Gong-ah, he can't really tell how they differ from humans. If anything, he feels a sort of aching warmth that did not exist in that village. It certainly feels strange. Suddenly, a few of the dokabes tell him to stop, as if it were not enough that he dared to enter their territory. He's even learning demon exorcism from the head, so why don't they have a little chat? Gong-ah recognizes them. It's Ilchui, Wuljong, and Gojol, the troublemakers of the temple. Yisei thinks, I'm not really that shocked, as hatred is the side of living creatures that I'm most familiar with. The beating begins as the sun falls over the horizon. Gong-ah is held by the other boys, while Ilchui beats up Yisei, who does not seem to pose much resistance. They are in the sparring grounds, and Gong-ah wonders if they think the head will just let this slide. Ilchui wonders what she's fussing about. Sparring is entirely normal at the temple, right? Ilchui is just graciously showing Yisei the gap between them. So Yisei will give up on learning demon exorcising arts. Better that than charging at a demon and dying, right? Though Yisei is so weak that Ilchui wouldn't even call this sparring. Ilchui scoffs inwardly, since the head personally brought Yisei here. Ilchui thought Yisei would be at least a little special. But why would she teach demon exorcising arts to this bastard instead of Ilchui? Yisei speaks up, as he hadn't realized this was sparring. He apologizes, as he mistook it for simple bullying. He's the outsider, so he thought he had to endure it. But he ended up interrupting them instead. A wave of scorn washes over Ilchui as he hears this, and he immediately starts to clobber Yisei. He wonders how a mere human can say something like this. If he cannot even take a beating properly, then what is he useful for? Ilchui went easy on Yisei because Yisei looked like he might die from one more punch, but now he's just getting cocky. Even as Ilchui hits Yisei, his rage does not falter. He's giving him a one-sided beating, yet he's not satisfied in the slightest. More importantly, this bastard isn't even closing his eyes when Ilchui hits him. Ilchui rages again, trying to hit Yisei, but Yisei actually manages to dodge this time, as there is a pattern in his attacks. This surprises everyone, and Yisei cocks back a deadly-looking punch, one that appears impossible for Ilchui to defend against. Instead of hitting him, however, the punch does not reach him, and Ilchui falls on his ass from the shock, with Yisei claiming that it is just like his master said. He will regret it if he does not eat properly. He asks Ilchui for his name, and claims that even if he looks weak, he'd appreciate him, not holding back. A demon certainly won't hold back against him, so they should spar again next time. He returns to Mong Yen, who is entirely unsurprised, noting that it seems he's had quite the dreadful first day. She has already heard from Gong-ah, and asks whether Ilchui and his ilk were bullying him. Yisei excuses it as just sparring, but she believes there's no way a simple sparring match would leave him like this. She sighs and begins treating his injuries with her magic. Yisei wonders if it's the same magic she used to heal his burns, and she confirms it, noting that, while it's only natural for children to grow through fighting, if those three go too far, he should come to her. She also wonders if he landed a hit, but Yisei tells her not to worry. He did not land a single blow. He knows he should not cause trouble while under her. Naturally, this angers her, and she grabs his head and holds him up. Yisei calls out her name, but she wonders why. She's just busy healing the face of an irritating wretch of a boy. Yisei guesses that he displeased her, and she wonders if he remembers how she introduced him to the others. Yisei notes that she said he was family, so she tells him to stop acting as though he's merely living off of charity. Yisei promises to keep it in mind, but just in case she misunderstood. He was not holding back just because of his position. Ilchui was fighting seriously, so not one of the attacks from Yisei reached him. Munjian sets him down and says that's a given. Ilchui has enough martial skill to match adults. Yisei wonders if Ilchui could hunt demons. That seems likely, but Munjian tells him bluntly that if he were to go demon hunting, only death would await him. Yisei must find that strange. He slew a low-grade demon, the Wado scholar, yet he could not defeat Ilchui. And now, she's telling him that even Ilchui could not defeat that demon. Demon exorcising arts revolve around knowledge. just as he killed the Wado scholar by using its weakness, which was salt, in order to create a situation where one gains the upper hand. Ilchui lacks the knowledge. So if Ilchui challenges a powerful demon, he's as good as dead. Issei lacks the martial prowess, so unless fortune aids him, he dies. Only those who possess both knowledge and martial prowess can continue learning demon exercising arts. Now, she will give him the first task toward becoming able to perform them. Issei continues his training in earnest. For an entire week, he pushes both his body and mind to the brink, but not enough to actually damage them. Gonga looks at him with a pout and asks if he is not bored since he's been doing nothing but this for a week. Should she, as his big sis, play with him after all? Issei apologizes, but he's already short on time. If he wants his master's permission to practice demon exercising arts, he has to finish the tasks. First, to have his knowledge acknowledged, he must read every book in the library. Gong is naturally shocked, as that will take decades. If someone told her to do that, she'd rather die. Issei says that he likes reading, so it is fine. Gong notes that he must be training too, right? But if he's only running and training, why is he covered in wounds again? Issei tells her that to have his martial prowess acknowledged, he has to win in sparring. That is why he's been sparring with Ilchui. Ilchui is naturally mad, as Issei keeps challenging him, but Ilchui can't kill. Issei, Gong now understands as she watches from a distance. Did the head really tell him to do this, though? There's just no way a human could beat a dokibi through strength. Issei notes that sparring is preparation for actual combat. A demon will not avoid him just because he doesn't want to fight. Ilchui smashes his foot into the ground, believing that Issei mistook his restraint for weakness. Ilchui tells Issei to come back again and threatens to break every bone in Issei's body. Gong immediately gets in front of Issei, telling Ilchui not to scare Issei. Ilchui grumbles, noting that he's hiding behind a girl now. What does she even see in him? Issei tells him that he will not blame him, even if he does break his bones, so they should spar again. Ilchui believes that Issei really is insane. The next day, as Ilchui walks, Issei invites him to spar. Even after all this, Issei keeps coming to Ilchui every day. Why does Issei just ignore Ilchui's warnings? It's not like Ilchui can really break Issei's bones. Issei has not landed a single hit on Ilchui, so why can't Issei give up? He has no talent for this. A human cannot defeat a dokibi either. And yet, even with this, why does it feel like Issei is looking past Ilchui? Ilchui doesn't like this, as it's getting on his nerves. He lets out his frustration on a training dummy. Not want to sit around while Issei trains. He treasures Gong's smile and the head's recognition. He will not let that human take those things from him. Bro is just giga jealous. Such childish behavior. No matter how hard Issei tries, his talent cannot match Ilchui's talent. Issei will never land a punch on Ilchui for as long as he lives. However, 1 year later it happens. Everyone is surprised, including Issei. His punch actually reaches Ilchui. Ilchui gets up shakily, claiming that he just tripped because he messed up, and charges in again, saying that he will really kill Issei this time. However, Issei begins to dodge every one of his attacks, which is weird because Ilchui has not slacked off on his training this past year either. Did it really take only 1 year to make this guy like this? Issei, however, thinks he understands clearly now what it means when they say, demon exercising arts require both knowledge and martial prowess. Most demons possess strong bodies, since humans can't overcome that gap through sheer effort. There is a limit to hunting demons, no matter how much they may train. What allows them to overcome this limit of strength is the other thing, knowledge. He ducks under Ilchui's punch and thinks that, just like in this match, if one knows where an opponent will attack, the location of the opponent's vital points, and so on, and fights with absolute precision, then a previously impossible hunt using demon exercising arts can succeed. Even if one knows, it's useless if their attacks cannot reach their target. That is why he also needs martial prowess. He strikes 3 of Ilchui's weak points, the belly button, the sternum, and the top of the head, only after one hones their knowledge. In martial prowess, until they become second nature, can they hunt demons, even with the body of a human. The other dokibis, especially Gong, are completely amazed. Issei defeats Ilchui after just 1 year, and the victory is overwhelmingly one-sided too. One day, as Issei walks around with Gong, singing his praises, she says he's amazing, which he counters by telling her that she's the amazing one for talking nonstop. He spots his master with a bunch of people gathered in front of her. He approaches and asks where she's going. She forgot to mention it before, but she will be away for several days to maintain their alliance with the humans. She sets out on a demon hunt every year, helping humans who are suffering because of those demons. This lets them show the humans that the Dokaibis are safe. She actually met him when she went out for last year's regular extermination too. Issei thinks, I understand now why she came to the village on that first day. Fate, huh? Well, it was a fortunate event. Munjian asks if he's done well with the assignment she set for him. But before Gong can answer, Ilchui comes over, putting a hand over Issei's shoulder. Ilchui notes that Issei actually defeated him in a sparring match. Issei is really impressive. Ilchui will have to work hard too, so he won't lose next time. Both Issei and Gong find this change in personality rather strange, but Mong Yaoan simply pats Ilchui on the head. She was rather worried that they did not get along, but seeing him acknowledge his younger brother, it seems he has truly grown now. Gong understands what Ilchui was going after. Praise from the head. She waves them off, telling them to make sure they get along, and leaves. Ilchui looks behind him and sees that one of his friends is talking with Issei. He asks Gogil when did he get close to that guy. Gogil explains that it's been around half a year. Ilchui seemed to hate Issei, so his friend pretended not to be close to Issei whenever Ilchui was around. Ilchui is a little mad at Issei, but it doesn't matter. They're going to play now, so Issei should come with him as well. Gong immediately invites herself, but Ilchui tells her that today it's for brothers only, so she cannot come, and it's a rule because he made it. He felt like it. Gong also punches him because she felt like it. As night falls, they break into the armory, where a bunch of weapons are stored. Issei wonders if it's really all right to just come in here whenever they want, but Ilchui tells him not to just stand around and pick a weapon. This time, they will settle things with a demon hunt. They will go outside Ginsu Temple, and whoever hunts a demon first wins. Issei tells him that the head explicitly stated not to leave Ginsu Temple until they come of age. Besides, it's not like they will definitely run into a demon just because they go outside. Gojol puts on a helmet and tells him that the adults went out on patrol earlier and said they heard the cries of a newborn. It must be a child. Ghost. Those things are stupid, so they sometimes wander near the temple. Issei, however, is adamant about them not doing it. It's dangerous to decide it's a child ghost based on just that. There are more than 10 types of demons that make sounds that are similar to the cries of child. If they run into one of them, they will surely die. Ilchui grabs a club and notes that Issei is just acting high and mighty because he read a few books. Issei tells him he cannot disobey the head's orders. But Ilchui believes he's just using that as an excuse because he is afraid. If he's not coming, then he should just forget it. They will ditch the coward and go out themselves. He tells the others that they should go, and they head out with Ilchui, calling Issei a pathetic one last time. They head out into the forest, with Ilchui noting that his demon hunter blood is really roaring now that he has this spiked iron club. He feels like he could beat hundreds of ghosts to death. The other boy notes that he's always wanted to try hunting demons at least once before becoming an adult, and Ilchui believes it's something necessary to become a demon hunter. He also looks behind them, noting that some uncool loser just picked a hand axe for a demon hunt. They are not going to chop firewood. Ilchui believes that Issei is scared out of his mind, even though Issei followed them. Ilchui wonders how Issei will feel when he sees a demon for the first time. Issei will surely be scared, but Ilchui is different because he even touched a demon corpse when he was little. Soon, Ilchui will show Issei the difference in their demon exorcising arts and make up for losing that sparring match. Issei follows them because he cannot stop them, but will that really be alright? If it's like what he saw in the books, a child ghost is a demon in the form of a child. It just annoys humans by making unreasonable demands, so Ilchui should hunt one rather easily. In the worst case, if it's not a child ghost and something else, something that is simply using that noise to lure in unsuspecting people. They might be in real trouble. The group continues walking for quite a bit, with Ilchui wondering why it's not showing up. They definitely said they heard crying around here somewhere. Issei suggests they head back now, since there's no sign of a ghost, and the others have to hold Ilchui back as he tries to clobber Issei with the club while screaming, and asking if Issei thinks he's better just because he won a single sparring match. Issei denies that notion. In their last match, Ilchui was caught off guard because he didn't expect the attack from Issei, and Issei just got lucky. If Ilchui had prepared more carefully, Issei wouldn't have been able to beat him so easily. After sparring with Ilchui for over a year, Issei knows for sure just how incredible his physical abilities and techniques are. Ilchui immediately becomes very giddy from the praise. It seems that even a human is able to recognize how good Ilchui is. It seems that Ilchui has misunderstood Issei. If Issei wants, Ilchui could even let him join their sworn brotherhood. Issei wonders if that means Ilchui will become his big brother, and Ilchui wonders if Issei has a problem with that. Issei actually smiles, as he is rather happy. He's always thought it would be nice to have a big brother. Ilchui is surprised by the look on his face, but pleasantly. So, suddenly though, before they can shake hands, the sound of a baby crying echoes throughout the forest from one direction, and Ilchui immediately rushes in, as whoever catches it first gets to keep it. He rushes in, thinking that now he will show his new youngest brother just how cool he is. But he stops once he sees what he is up against. Wujiang is the first to get to him, and Ilchui wonders. A child ghost is a demon that looks like a baby, right? Since that's what they all know, it shouldn't have an extra head, right? Seeing this, Issei tells everyone to get away, as that's not a child ghost, before he can identify it fully. A bunch of demonic spikes emerge from the eyes and mouths on the beast's multiple heads, and they immediately fly towards the group with killing intent. Issei manages to defend with his shield, but the others are not so lucky. He still gets thrown by the sheer power of the strikes. He thinks it's a good thing he brought a shield just in case, but what about the others? He looks around and sees that the situation is deal. Ilchui has a spike in his shoulder. Wujiang has one in his arm, but the worst off is Gojol, who has a few spikes in his belly, and he's bleeding rapidly. The beast laughs at their fear, which you can probably taste. The risk level of a demon is determined not by the hunting success rate, but by the hunter's survival rate, and is divided into 9 levels in total, from 1 to 9. Risk levels 9 to 7 are classified as low grades, and a rookie hunter's chance of surviving a fight against one with a risk level of 9 is 9 Hal, with 1 Hal being 10%, 8 Hal at level 8, and so on. However, starting with a risk level 6 demon, which is classified as mid-grade, the survival rate drops sharply. A rookie hunter's chance of surviving a fight against a risk level 6 is just 2 Hell, so 20%, and that's in the best case scenario. This is a level 6 mid-grade demon, the Wailing Dragon. Issei realizes that this is the worst situation they could have been in. It wasn't a child ghost, it was actually a Wailing Dragon. Even that 2 HAL survival rate is 4. Officially trained demon hunters, and most of his group are wounded already. At this rate, they're all going to die. He needs to figure out the best choice that they can make. Ilchui continues lying on the ground, as the spike lodged in him hurts, and he feels sick. Demons are even creepier and more disgusting than Ilchui heard, and this happened because of his own foolish suggestion to hunt them. He looks at Gojol, seeing the wounds in his stomach. If they do not treat him quickly, he's really not going to make it. He doesn't know what he has to do. His untrained mind knows nothing of the world's true burdens. He's in a state of shock, and he knows one thing. Everyone's going to die. At this rate, can they even escape while carrying an injured Gojol? Issei says next that the best thing they can do now is leave Gojol behind and run. Ilchui asks what Issei just said, even though he had thought the same thing. But Issei tells them calmly, Gojol's wound is fatal. Even if they manage to run, he will die before they reach the temple. Wujiang asks how Issei can say something like that. But Issei tells them that the Wailing Dragon hasn't attacked again. Do they not think that's strange? He read about it in the encyclopedias. This beast finds prey filled with negative emotions the most delicious. They have to choose whether they will abandon their friend and run, or die together right here. What it wants is probably for them to abandon their friend. Gojo will fall into despair, while the others will be filled with negative emotions and guilt. But even knowing that, they have no choice but to give it what it wants, because that is the only way for them to survive. Gojo notes that his stomach hurts quite a lot. He's not really going to die, right? However, the wailing dragon continues its approach, slowly but surely, enjoying the sweet suffering. It's closing in before Ilchui can come up with an answer. Issei takes a decisive action. He throws something he found in the armory, some sort of bomb that cracks open and explodes in a spectacle of light. Functioning like a flashbang, Issei approaches Gojo one last time, apologizing and vows to avenge him. By the time the flash fades, the others are already running, having left Gojo behind, clearly not wanting to have done so. However, Gojo thinks it was for the best. He doesn't want everyone to die because of him, and knows that Issei vowed to avenge him. But he thinks Issei should forget about it and just survive. With that, the wailing dragon descends on him, first devouring his head, as that is the most succulent part. Issei watches from behind a tree and sees that, after the demon consumes Gojo's head, it actually manifested on its body, creating a mockery of what Gojo once was. It claims that they were supposed to escape together. How could they leave him all alone? Issei is naturally filled with bitter rage at this beast that dares to mock the life of someone he knew. Naturally, their disappearance is noticed, and the Dokabis immediately form patrols, with some searching the entire temple and others preparing to move outside of it. Gange wakes up and asks why it's so noisy. The cook from before tells her that none of the boys, including Ilchui, Wujiang, and even Issei, can be found anywhere inside Ginsu Temple. Gange is naturally surprised, and the cook tells her that the combat Dakabe have already sent word to the head and gone out beyond Ginsu Temple to search for them. Gunga remembers what Ilchui said about playing, wondering if they left the temple back then. Whatever happens, she just hopes that they come back safely. Issei runs away too, but he keeps reflecting on the decision he had made. Facing the wailing dragon as a group would have men annihilation, and even if Gojo had to be sacrificed, the remaining three would survive and have a chance to kill the demon. Later, this is just like before when his family died. He knew if he rushed in to kill that bastard, he would die. The best choice would be to keep the demon in sight, watch it until the end, and then find its lair to avenge his family. That was the best judgment he could make. However, now that judgment was extremely painful and made him grow bitter toward the part of himself that forced him to make it, thinking all of this was because demons existed. Suddenly, Issei approaches one of the combat Dokibi, the patrol officer Goshin. Goshin asks why. Issei is out there and warns that when the head returns, they had better all be prepared for a severe scolding. He asks where the other children are hiding, and after a moment of deliberation, Issei tells him what happened. In the forest, they encountered the wailing dragon demon, and while he was separated from Ilchui and Wujiang during their escape, Gojo was eaten by the demon. Gochiin is naturally shocked by this, his fists clenching tightly. He asks where that damn demon is and what the wailing dragon demon looks like. Issei, a little confused, tells him that it's a demon shaped like a horse with many faces, but as Gokiin continues speaking, Issei's mind goes elsewhere. This guy is the patrol officer in charge of exterminating demons that appear near the temple. So, does he really not know about the wailing dragon demon? Issei tells him that it is a mid-grade demon and asks if it would be better to wait for support. But Gokiin tells him not to worry, claiming he is one of the top 5 in the temple when it comes to monstrous strength. Issei suppresses his doubts for now and asks if he can come along. Gokiin naturally replies that it's far too dangerous, but Issei points out that he remembers the place where they encountered it, and that rescuing the other children is their top priority. Right now, Gokiin can't really refute that and agrees, though he insists that if they encounter the demon, Issei must run away immediately. Somewhere else, Ilchui bites on a stick as he pulls the spike from his shoulder, thinking that they made it far and that the thing won't be able to chase after them. He asks Wujiang if he's okay, to which Wujiang replies that it hurts a bit, but he's fine, though he wonders if it's really alright for them to be the only survivors. since Gojol must be dead by now, trying to protect himself from guilt. Ilchui thinks that if they had fought together, they could have saved Gojol, and that Yisei only confused them with his useless talk. Wuzhong thinks otherwise, but Ilchui calls him an idiot, declaring that this is a disgrace, both as a demon hunter and as Gojol's brother. Before he can finish his sentence, however, he hears the wails of a baby, the same ones from before, and his knees grow weak as he almost falls. But when he looks behind him, he sees that it's not the monster they fought previously, but actually a child ghost. In a fit of rage, Ilchui smashes its head with the club again, and, again, this is not rage at the ghost, necessarily, but mostly at himself. He begins shifting the blame, thinking that if that human bastard had not clouded their judgment, he would have beaten that demon too. They should just find it again. With the spike club, he will avenge Gojol. Wuzhang buys into his deflection and agrees to kill all the demons and avenge Gojol. However, the Wailing Dragon is right behind Wuzhang, having waited perfectly for this moment to strike. With a sickening crunch, it takes out Wuzhang, and Ilchui looks behind him and sees what has transpired. The demon looks at him, waiting for him to act because it knows he will. With a shaky voice, Ilchui asks how it dares to do that to Wuzhang. He will crush it flat like a child ghost. With his spike club, he will get vengeance. However, his plans of vengeance immediately falter as the maws of the demon close in on him, spelling his doom. Before that can happen, though, Gokien arrives, kicking the demon away, asking how it dares to lay hands on a child of the Guinzu Temple. The demon retreats to assess this new target, and Gokien tells Yisei to take Ilchui and head back, as he will be dealing with this demon. Issei comforts Ilchui, noting that he's glad he's alive, doing what it does best. It uses the faces of the two children it ate to plead with Gokien, making him falter. The demon uses this opportunity to strike, hitting Gokien in his side. He snaps out of it and asks how it dares to pretend to be the children, preparing to unleash a devastating spear strike. However, that's when Wuzhang's visage speaks, as it reminds Gokien that he promised to teach them staff techniques. They had been waiting so long for that day, and they were still alive, so he should just free them from the demon. Naturally, Goshin knows that these are not really the children. All he has to do now is crush them together with the demon. But surging emotions make one lose sight of the goal, and his judgment begins to cloud. That is a weakness all living beings with hearts share, because after all, Goshin is still a living creature, and therefore vulnerable. The Wailing Dragon demon understands that point with clarity. This is a weakness in its prey that it has learned through countless hunts similar to this one. If it uses that, the prey will naturally weaken and soon lose their own will to fight, giving it even more things to eat. There has never been any prey this does not work on. However, Issei rushes in and smashes his axe into the Wailing Dragon, defying its understanding of how prey should behave. Issei tells Gokien to snap out of it, as this is a demon, and demons only deserve death.